I was watching a very interesting video earlier today about cats, and it was 5 words that your cat understands. First of all, they talked about some of the differences between cats and dogs. Dogs, having been bred for thousands of years by humans to depend on us, to have that kind of a codependent relationship, and to seek our approval. In a different situation with cats, which are still basically wild animals, solitary hunters, wrapped up in a nice, cuddly, fuzzy exterior, And one of the words that your cat understands is no. They pointed out that even though your cat may understand that word, however, they process things a little bit differently than, say, a dog would. Because a dog doesn't want to disappoint you, doesn't want to experience that disapproval from you. Whereas with a cat, when you tell them not to do something, they actually calculate the consequences, and they perform a cost-benefit analysis. How's it going to work out for them? If doing what they're doing and continuing on that path, even though you tell them no, is going to give them more pleasure or satisfaction than stopping it, that's what they care about. They said that cats that actually take a little bit longer and pause, like sometimes you'll tell a cat no, and you'll see them pausing for a second. And what they're really doing is making that calculation, The cats that actually tend to disregard what you say more and are more likely to not care about, when you say no and telling them to stop, they actually perform better when you try to have them do problem-solving tests, where they have to figure out how to, solve a problem or calculate things, because they are actually solving that problem and figuring out what the angles are, And that's a totally different thing from a dog, where they'll just, maybe they don't want to disappoint you, so you tell them no, and they stop. But the line that they said in there, the sentence that really caught my attention and impressed me, was that cats are just more interested in their own desires than they are with the social consequences or social approval. And it occurred to me that that's the way you have to be if you want to be a successful expat, too. One could argue that might apply in a lot of different ways. But certainly, if you're going to be an expat, say you're a expat, moving to the Philippines and living over there, which is more, of course, what my area of concern is with things. Guess this other person decided to stop, park next to me, and have their lunch break. You have to be more concerned with your own desires and what you want. That's something that you've all experienced, probably, if you've done it, if you've actually gone there. What happens if you go to the Philippines, and especially, let's say you get involved with some woman who's like 20, 30 years younger than you? A lot of people are going to look down on you for that. You can argue about whether or not it's jealousy on their part, or just misplaced moral outrage about something they don't know anything about, or whatever. But a lot of people will look down on you. You go off to the Philippines and get married to some woman who's in her early 20s or something, or her 30s, and you're like in your 50s, 60, whatever. A lot of people are going to look down on you for that. There's going to be social consequences to you for making that decision. But you have to be capable of saying, this is what I need to do right now in my life, and so this is what I'm going to do. You can't worry about the fact that other people are not going to approve of that decision. A lot of people have a tendency to look down on anyone who just moves off to a different country. And you even see some people that say, why should someone who's living in another country be able to get Social Security benefits and things like that? I mean, how stupid is that? You know, it's your money. It's money that you have coming to you, that you deserve, and that you have worked hard your whole life to get to that point where that is something that is coming to you. And if you want to go somewhere, be a part of a different culture, and kiss the rat race goodbye back where you're from, if that's what you need to do to live the life you want and to satisfy your own personal desires, then you have to be willing to make that choice and to say, I don't care what everybody else thinks about it. That, as I say, it could be argued that to achieve anything useful in life, you have to have that ability. It's one thing, obviously, to care about other people's opinions and not just be a complete and total asshole and disregard what everybody around you thinks or feels. But in a lot of cases in life, worrying primarily about doing what other people expect you to do is just going to hold you back. I experienced that in my own life, you know, being raised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses when I was young, and everything I went through trying to break free from that cult, when your whole family and friends, everybody that you've been around and known for your whole life is going to just cut you off when you leave. You think about, you know, what the effect is going to be on your family and what kind of shit they're going to have to go through because of your actions, what they're going to have to deal with from other people. But a lot of times we're so busy trying to do what other people expect us to do and fulfill their expectations and keep them happy, that we deprive ourselves of the things that are going to make us happy. And if you really want to be successful in life, and certainly as an expat, you need to get over that. It doesn't mean that you're a psychopath, you know, that you just don't care what anybody else thinks or worry about how your actions impact others or whatever. But ultimately, at some point, if you're going to be happy in life, you have to make the decision to do what is going to make you happy. You can't worry about whether or not other people around you or people who have been in your life are going to approve of it or if it's going to make them happy. A lot of times, in order to make everybody else in your life happy, that involves making yourself unhappy. It involves staying at a job that you hate, maybe, just because you have a check coming in that you need. It involves not moving to the place where you would really like to live, because if you do, other people are going to miss you, or they make you feel guilty about leaving them and not being around anymore. So many things in life. You know, we need to be more like cats. You know, a lot of people, of course, you know, they aren't wired that way. You've got people who are wired more like dogs, you know. You hear about, you know, following somebody around like a little puppy or whatever, you know. That's just the way some people are. You've got people who are naturally just more needy, and they require that social approval. And for them, the thought of getting on an airplane and going to the Philippines to start a new life, to meet some woman who is in her 20s or something like that, and to explore those opportunities, they would never, ever be able to work up the courage or the ambition to do that, because they're so scared about what everybody else thinks in their life, and everybody telling them horror stories. Oh man, if you do that, you're just going to get scammed and ripped off, or I've heard stories about this and that, or oh, that's a dangerous place, you're going to die, whatever. And people try to get in your head and stop you from doing what is going to make you happy. So you have to prioritize focusing on your own desires sometimes. And that doesn't make you selfish. It doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that you have to perform like a cat when you're telling them not to do something. A cost-benefit analysis. Other people are telling you, no, don't do this, don't do that. But you're the only one who can decide if going ahead and doing that thing is going to give you what you want. And maybe it won't ultimately. But the only way you're going to know is if you take that chance and try it. People who move overseas and leave their families and that whole support network and go out on their own, that takes a certain kind of courage and attitude that a lot of people just don't have. A lot of other people are going to look at you for doing that, and they won't even be able to comprehend how you could do that, because it's something that in their wildest dreams they just could never imagine doing. They could never imagine leaving all the people they know, the places they know, and all the friends and family and so forth, to go venture out and try to do something different in order to be happy. So they'll just spend their whole life filled with regret, thinking about the things they wish they would have done. And a lot of times, you hear people talk about the Filipino crab mentality. It doesn't just exist in the Philippines. There are people right there in your own life in the United States or places like that, Canada, England, Australia, wherever you're from, who have that same kind of attitude. They can't stand to see you leave and go be happy without them and take a chance and experience a life that they know they just don't have the courage to experience. So that's my message for today. You have to prioritize your own desires and just ignore the naysayers, or you're never going to be happy.